Hi everyone, welcome to Couchbase Coding with Matthew Groves. This is a 10-minute slice of my day as a developer advocate, live every day, except for Friday. I'm sorry about that. I was at the Into the Box conference. I just couldn't get away. I was traveling. I couldn't get sit down and do a stream. But otherwise, live every day. Check out all the episodes up there on the YouTube playlist. Please email me or tweet me your comments, questions, ideas, stuff you'd like to see in a future episode. I would love to hear from you. I will be continuing my series this week, giving you a sneak preview of the upcoming Couchbase Connect New York conference. It's going to happen May 9th and 10th, jam-packed full of Couchbase stuff from our engineers, but also from our customers and our partners, showing off cool stuff they're doing with Couchbase. Okay, and also, just a warning, there's going to be no stream this Friday either. I'm going to be at the Stir Trek conference, stirtrek.com, here in Columbus, Ohio. Great conference. I think it's sold out, but that's where I'm going to be helping out at that conference, so I won't be able to stream. Okay, so Connect, coming up, New York, coming up here in May. One of the sessions that's going to be offered there is called Rapidly Finding the Needle in the Haystack. I believe that's what it's going to be called. And it's going to be presented by Marty Schotch, who is sort of the main guy when it comes to full text search and the full text indexing here for the Couchbase product. So I thought I would dive into that a little more. I already showed you last week a really basic text search use case. So today I'm going to show something a little more complex. What I've done is I've created here a Geo Spatial Index, and I'll just go ahead and edit this to show you what I did. It's on the travel sample bucket, and what it's going to be mapping here. My idea is I want to be able to find hotels based on a search of a specific area on the map. And there's a couple ways we'll do that. We'll get into that. But I need to create a geospatial index in order to do that search. And now you could do this with Nickel, hypothetically. Do a SQL query, but you have to know all the math, and you have to know all the latitude, longitude stuff, and all the math that goes into that is very complex. You have to write that out into a SQL query, and it's much easier to just go ahead and create a geospatial index here. So it's on travel sample. I'm going to use the type field just as before. I created a type mapping for hotel. So this is only going to search where type equals hotel. And then inside that, I've mapped a geo point field. The field's called geo, if you look in the data. And I've looked to store that as well. And that's it. And the default here is still checked. I can't uncheck it. That bug is still there. I'm still using the build that has that bug. So this is the pain of being on the cutting edge. But that bug will be fixed in an upcoming build, so I'll switch over to that soon. All right, so once that index is created, I now have a full text index called my geo index. So now let's see how I'm going to actually use it. This is just some code I did for a blog post a while back. It is a ASP.NET Core website running in the back end, like a web API backend, and then it's running Aurelia in the front end, which is Aurelia is a JavaScript framework. I'm really a big fan of Aurelia, that's why I decided to use it. I'm using a plugin for it for Google Maps, and that's really important. But what I want to get to here is I'm going to show you two things. First, this is the startup. If you're familiar with ASP.NET Core, this should look pretty familiar to you. I'm actually bringing in the Couchbase extensions for dependency injection in ASP.NET Core, which is an open source project that's available on Couchbase Labs. I'm just saying, okay, here's my username, my password, my Couchbase credentials, and then the list of URLs, which is just one localhost Couchbase, and that's all I have to do to configure Couchbase in ASP.NET Core. Really super simple. And then over here in the actual controller, what I can do is I can put in this bucket provider as a parameter, and then I can use that to connect to the travel sample bucket and set this iBucket object here, which will be used later on to do the actual geospatial searches. Okay, so let's start with the point. So there's two different types of geospatial searches you can do. One is a point, where you pick a point on a map and you can imagine a radius around that point, and you want to search within that radius, within that circle. Another option is a box, where you pick a point on the top left and the point on the bottom right, and you say, okay, that makes a box, and anything in there I want to search for. All right, so let's start with point. So with the .NET API, I'll just specify a geodistance query. So I have to specify a single point of latitude and longitude, and a distance, that's the radius between those points. And then I pass those to the search parameters here. So create the search params object. I'm just going to limit it to 10, give it a timeout. And I pass in the actual query here to the search query, and the name of the index, which was my geo index, and those search params from before. If you're curious about this bug, go back and read the blog post. That bug's been fixed, but again, I don't think that's actually been deployed yet. So I'm just using the old version. So that, when I execute that query, it's going to return up to 10 results of hotels that are within that area I specified. And so then go through those results, and I've created this little Geo Search result class. This is not part of the SDK, it's just a little class that I created. It has latitude and longitude, and this info window content that matches up to the Google Maps API. And then because of that bug, I'm going to go out and hit the document again and pull all the data over, because I want to write that out to the search results, but that won't be necessary once that bug's fixed. Anyway, then I write out the content, the latitude and longitude, and return that as the endpoint, as a result of the endpoint. So that's just a REST API returning JSON data. Very similar here for the box. I'm going to, instead of specifying a point and a distance, I'm specifying a top left point and a bottom right point. Otherwise, it's pretty much the same thing as up there before, and printing out the results there. All right. So then I will go ahead and open this up in the browser so you can see what's actually happening. I didn't go over all the Aurelia stuff. It's not super critical. The front end could be anything. Doesn't have to be Aurelia. It could be just plain old ASP.NET Razor pages or whatever. But I really like Aurelia. So let's go over here to the UI I've created for the distance search. This is the point search. Not a terribly fancy UI, but here's a map, and this showing San Francisco. And let me zoom out a little bit here. So then what I can do is I can click on any point in this map, and it populates the latitude and longitude based on that point that I just clicked. And then here's the radius, and it's just a 10-mile default radius. If I hit search, it's going to go hit that endpoint I created, which in turn is going to execute the Couchbase Geospatial full text or full text index, and it's going to return these results. So it found these 10 results, the 10 most relevant results within that 10-mile radius. If I click on these, you can see it's actually pulling in the data from those documents. There's the Metro Hotel, there's the Great Highway Inn, and Pacific Trade Winds, and so on. And I can also click on a different point. Let's try over here in, I don't know, Eastern Oakland area. Click on that, hit the search, and notice that it's still casting its 10-mile radius, but now it's only getting like the eastern part of San Francisco here, Courtyard, and so on. All right, so that's a point search. Bounding box is a little different. So again, we're at the San Francisco Bay Area here. Now I have to select 2 points. So I'll start up here, the top left, and then I'll move down here to the bottom right. And it's not showing it on the screen, but just imagine a box is being created here. That's all I need to do. So I'll just do a search, and it finds these hotels within that box. So some of them will be similar, like Great Highway Inn over here again, and the Inn San Francisco, and so on. And I can probably do a different box, and I know there's not data in there, probably for way out here. So we'll just do it again. Click there, click, search, and there's no results because there's no hotels out here that are in my database, right? So if you're going to try this out, I've got the source code. If you're going to try this out, just notice that the travel sample data is pretty much limited to the Bay Area, and I think Manchester area in England, because those are where 2 Couchbase offices are. Okay, so that's it for Geospatial Search. Very cool, very, very easy to do. You don't have to do all the math and equations yourself. One more time, I'm going to show you the Connect New York promotion here, May 9th through 10th, coming up, I think, just next week. So if you're in the New York area, you might want to check this out. And there's a code there at the bottom. If you go to that URL, enter the code DEVADVOCACY CC18, you're going to get free admission to the main conference. And you can't beat that. You're going to be able to see interesting content like the Marty Schoch stuff on full text search. Very cool stuff. All right, well, that's it for today. We'll see you tomorrow. Thanks for watching.